is there a world that is independent of any living thing experience? For example, an X-ray seems to capture something that no one has direct experience of. I thought everything was made of knowing. That's a very wise question, SK57, that Susif. That's a very wise question, but it's also incredibly not wise. You're not being creative enough with your mind. So it seems like that's a really wise question. Okay, so you could put a camera on and you can film a room where nobody is looking, and then when you later look at the camera you can see that room. Actually, everything is made of mystery, not knowing. Knowing is the first thing that comes into existence when this plays out, and then there's the I am, and then there's everything else. But actually the source is an absolute mystery. It's even beyond knowing. But we can go with knowing because that's what everyone typically talks about. I don't mind. I'm not attached to any words. It doesn't matter. We made up words, and then we're trying to talk about something in a language that we made up, and we can't actually talk about that in our language, the oneness in our language. So it's just, you just got to be flexible with the mind and see that it didn't exist until you looked at it. The inside of the body didn't exist until you looked at it. Nothing exists until it's inside consciousness. Have you ever experienced outside of consciousness? Have you ever experienced something not being conscious? The answer is actually in your experience, not in your intellect, and that question totally comes from the intellect. So you think, there is inside someone's body, there is an X-ray that exists when I'm not looking at it. But what's your actual experience? Find the answer in your actual experience, and your actual experience is there is only ever consciousness, and there is not outside, and you've never been proved an outside of consciousness. The only proof you've ever had is of consciousness, of this one alive presence that doesn't have an inside or outside world. So the question is, can you prove that there is an outside to consciousness? There is an outside to this alive presence. Thank you for your questions, but it correlates well with what you find if you operate on that person. Yeah. And if you have a metal detecting machine and you're running along the floor and it beeps, then you can dig and you can find that. But why wouldn't it? I think that you need to ask yourself more, Sue Sith, because I know that you've been listening to the subject for quite a long time. You need to ask yourself, you need to go along the investigation of why is your mind trying to create all these defenses against oneness? Why is it trying to doubt it? Like, what's the resistance in your mind to it? And feel it. Find it in your feelings. It's most probably because you just don't want love. You don't want to let the love in.